Hello and welcome to Eden Live, where I am reading all of Eden by FREI live on Facebook and on YouTube. And assuredly, these clips then do make their way onto IGTV, Instagram, albeit with a slight delay, again, at the moment. But I'm quite aware that most of you probably watch this not live at all anyway, but own sweet time. And since time is not only relative, but probably, possibly not even real as far as we know, it really doesn't matter, absolutely. We are at the end of volume 2, which is called Heart, which is about matters of the heart. And it's the last installment. And this is another one of these short, and it is really very short, literary interludes, as I like to call them. And since it sits at the very end of this volume, it's not so much an interlude as maybe a coda. And it's called Afterthought. Every so often, ever so rarely, that feeling of a cold, clean blade sliding under my skin and lifting the tissue off my bones. I can't help but stare, not stare, but gaze upon in wonder. I pretend to play Yas on my phone. I do play Yas on my phone, but my concentration is shot. I don't remember what's gone. I can see what is trump, but I no longer care what it means. The boy sitting opposite on the tube. He's not a boy, he's a man, in his salmon-coloured trousers with his caramel shoes over deep navy socks, his deep sea-green jumper, or is that navy too? His light glacier lake colour shorts, showing a bit between shirts and belts, a soft, plain material, not briefs and not boxers. His fine sculpted lips, his long, dark, chestnut hair, and the ever a tad absent expression. His tallness, the strength of his thighs by comparison. He alights at Victoria. I pull myself together. I have to pull myself together. I've written a book about him and about all the others. There are only 2 or 3, or 3 or 4. They are so rare and so precious and so incomprehensibly beautiful. Let not it be said that I did not draw from that beauty the venating breath of a melancholy yak. Oh, to be 19 and a poet. Was I ever 19? I was once a poet, albeit briefly. Perhaps I can be so again. And that is the end of volume 2 in the Eden Miniature series, which also happens to be the end of part 2 in the original Eden by FREI concept narrative in the here and now about the why, the where, the wherefore, and forever. Let me get this right, about the where, the wherefore, and forever. And essentially, since this is such a short episode, I might as well just briefly, in case you're interested, and I dare say that I hope that if you've stuck with it through to this point, or have dived in and are watching until now, you might be interested in what the relationship is between the original online concept narrative and this short book series, this series of short books of the 12 Eden miniatures, because the structure of Eden by FREI is actually different marginally to the book series. The original online blog style narrative the text is exactly the same, by the way, is structured into 7 parts. But there are 12 installments in the Eden Miniatures series. And why is that? How is that? Well, it's obviously simply due to the fact that some parts in the original structure make up their own book, their own Eden Miniature, and in other cases this does not apply. And so you have part 1, Dimensions, is volume 1, Dimensions, and part 2, Heart, is volume 2, Heart. But part 3, and Soul, is not volume 3, and Soul, because there is no volume 3 and Soul. There is, however, a volume 3, The Snowflake Collector. And that is because the Snowflake Collector, together with 2 other volumes, makes up part 3 and Soul, which unsurprisingly is about matters of the soul. And the other 2 installments in the Eden Miniature series that make up and Soul, together with the Snowflake Collector, are the Ice King and the Planet Walk, and so it continues. So this is just very briefly to give you an idea. And if all of this puzzles you and bewilders you and flummoxes you, do not worry and do not despair. This is partly the point, I suppose. It is, after all, a new format. It's, after all, an experiment in writing and publishing. And if you wonder what the heck this is about and want to know more, then I can recommend that you go to the website, which is at edenbyfrei.net, which you should more or less be able to read there, edenbyfrei.net, where there's a homepage with a very brief, succinct description of the project. There's an about page, there is an introductory video, there are all the embedded links to all the previous installments, and there will be all the ones to all the subsequent installments as well, of course. And so everything you need to know or could wish to know about Eden by FREI, it can be found there. And if that's not enough, there is even a contact page on which you can get in touch, which would be lovely. I'd be delighted to hear from you and answer any questions you may have. And that brings me to the end of today's webcasts. The next one will go out on Monday. As you may realize, or not, as the case may be, I'm doing this on a twice weekly basis, on Mondays and on Wednesdays at 6:15 London time, which up until now was British summertime, but very soon, unfortunately, is going to be Greenwich Mean Time again. We are going to fall back an hour again, so it gets even darker. Whenever you find these clips, whenever you find this, I hope you will join me again, because next time we continue with Volume 3 in the Eden Miniature series. And that is a complete change of register, of genre, of tone, of content, of characters, because next week, or with the next installment, we are starting to read The Snowflake Collector. And that is that is something I'm particularly looking forward to, because also there I can show you a different type of book for reasons I shall explain. We will cross that bridge when we come to it, which is very soon. It's the next episode. Until then, do keep well, take good care, stay safe and sane, and love and let love, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.